Hey guys, Josh here. I want to talk to you a little bit today about change. Why change is important and why it's important to your growth as a travel agent. When in business, change is a very necessary tool and it's very necessary to help you grow. It's a very healthy part of growth. Growth is important in any factor, in any business, but your growth specifically is important to me, and your growth as a travel agent is important to this company. So I tend to believe that growth is accompanied, or change rather, is accompanied by failure. Failure can be a taboo word. It can be something that people hate to hear. Nobody ever wants to hear you're a failure. However, I personally believe that failure is an important part of your growth. It's an important part of business. How do you know something won't work unless you try it, right? We have to innovate no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing. So, for the sake of this argument, let's just say that failure is something that's just not working. So today, I want to talk to you about how to change things. Let's talk about some applicable options for you in the travel industry or in any part of business on how you change, what to change, how do you know when to change, how do you implement change in your business. So we're going to touch on a few of these points, and hopefully it helps you become a better person, better businessman, woman, and helps you be more acclimated and not so hesitant to embrace change in your company. So first, it has nothing to do with change. The first thing has to do with actually trying something new. Like I said earlier, I tend to believe that change is always accompanied by failure. What I mean by that is you have to try new things, see that they're not working, and then change. I believe that change is accompanied by failure. I said that a little bit earlier. You need to try something new, you need to fail at it, and then you need to change. That's the process. That's all that matters, right? That is what change is all about. You need to try something, see that it's not working, and then shift your focus or change and try something different. So that's step number one. Try something new. Okay, so now we can go back and evaluate that new thing that you did, evaluate our goals and see what did work and see what didn't work. What did work, you can keep, right? It's not necessary to change that right now. That's not the first step. We're looking at the things that didn't work, okay? If you tried something new and you fell flat on your face, or you invested money in your business and you didn't get the response or the return that you expected. So now that you've tried this new thing, how do we know when it's time to implement change? Okay, you set a time period, you try this new thing, you watch and see how it does, then you say, okay, I'm done doing this, it's not working. How do you know when it's not working well? You have to set up goals. You have to set some type of standard where, hey, if I reach this standard, then it's acceptable. If I don't reach this standard, then I need to try something new. I need to shift and I need to change. So you really need to set up some type of parameter that can tell you when it's time to change. That way, it's not some type of emotional decision where you're saying, okay, I'm scared. I really don't know what to do. I'm just going to throw this out here and just try to see what happens. It's not what we're going to do. We're going to set up specific goals that we can measure so we know when it's time to change. This is a very healthy part of change. It helps keeps us balanced and focused on the goals. And you need these goals because if you don't have a compass, how do you know what direction to go? So it's very important to have these goals in front of you so you know exactly when it's time to change or if you need to change at all. Okay, so now that we have these goals, now it's time to address whether we need to change or not. So you're not hitting your goals. You've tried this new thing. It's just not working. Let's implement the change and see exactly what we need to change. So it could be listening to your clients, right? What are your clients saying? Maybe it's getting feedback. Maybe you're trying to get leads and the feedback for what you're doing is negative or it's poor feedback. And so you haven't reached your goals and so now you need to change. So now let's implement the change. So implementing the change. First thing, evaluate. Evaluate what is working, what's not working, and kind of separate those two things, right? If it's all one big push, and you're seeing some parts aren't working and some parts are, keep doing the parts that are working. It's not necessary to change things when it's working. Now, if everything is working and you're full steam ahead, it's still important to innovate a little bit and try new things, because if you're always doing the same thing and you're successful, maybe you're only going 60% of the way there. But you don't know. You don't know if you don't innovate and change and try to get 70, 80, 90, 100%. Another thing we need to do is define what isn't working and make sure that we keep record of it. We don't want to continually change and then somehow go back to something that we used to do that isn't working. And we didn't know that because we didn't keep a good record of it. We didn't define that one aspect of our marketing, of our sales, of our company that wasn't working. And then we ended up going straight back to it as soon as we panic. We want to make sure that we have an understanding of what is not working before we try to implement the change. So now we've separated what is working, what isn't working. Push what's not working to the side. So moving forward, we've separated what's working and what isn't working. So now we take what wasn't working, right, past tense, and we move it aside. We put that file in a folder somewhere in our computer so we can come back and look at it when we need to change again. But we don't focus on that failure. It's really important. Listen, if you get anything from this video, listen to this. You cannot focus on past failures. It just doesn't work. Staying in that spot where you're just thinking about that failure. Oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that. I put myself out there and people saw me do this and now they think this of me or that of me, or they think I'm a failure. You can't dwell on that. Change is supposed to help your business. Change is supposed to make your business better. Failure is part of that. So don't dwell on those past failures. Take it, put it aside, and then start implementing something new to be part of that whole package. Because we already have that part that works. If nothing has worked, then you're just gonna have to create a whole new package. And that's totally fine, right? That's totally part of change and part of getting better. But if you do still have something that works, take that part, implement something new, and then try it again. That's the process. Then we rinse and we repeat. Rinse, repeat until we get better and better and better. So hopefully, once you've reviewed your goals, evaluated areas where you can improve and change, and established what those changes are that you need to make, there should be a positive outcome, right? When you change, there should always be a positive outcome. Not necessarily with numbers, but at least with learning and growth and seeing what not to do, right? We're establishing something, even if it's identifying new barriers that you have to overcome, some new competition, or some type of virus that gets let out into the world. I don't know, use your imagination. So homework time, take some time, brainstorm what these barriers are and things that you need to implement in your business to change and overcome these barriers. They could be time. Maybe you're not spending enough time dreaming about your business. Maybe you don't know the direction you even want to take your business. Maybe it's a sales problem. Maybe it's a marketing problem. Maybe you're not selling the right destination. Maybe it's a communication problem. These are all things that we can go back and evaluate about ourselves and see if we failed in them, and then just take that part out, set it aside, and try something new. Include in this brainstorm session maybe a timeline of what you're going to invest in this change. And what I mean by that is create a timeline of every aspect of your business and address certain areas at a time. You can't attack the whole thing at once. You're going to stress yourself out. You're going to break apart. Just focus on small bits and pieces. That's my advice for you. Don't try to do everything at once. Take one part of it, focus on it, make it better, and then move to the next part, right? We want to build a good, healthy foundation for our business. Lastly, I want you to stay motivated. I want you to be consistent, always evaluating yourself. The worst thing that you can do is set amazing goals, create a timeline, action steps to address these goals, and then forget to implement them and stay consistent and stay steady. As I think about it, there's a great quote by Lincoln Chaffee that says, "Trust is built with consistency." The consistency that you exhibit will build a trust with your clients, even in seasons and times of change, especially with something that we've been through. There are more COVIDs on the horizon. I hate to tell you this. And I'm not talking about from a virus aspect. COVID or issues with the travel industry or with your company will always be around the corner. And your success is dependent on how you evaluate your business and then pivot and change your business for the better.